rebel with a cause, just a girl up with a thrill. Wandering through the shadows, never knowing what to feel. I thought I was a shaman, master whispers in the night. They underestimated, tried to keep me from the light. But I saw them mind control, every twist, every bend. So I turned it all around, made the game start to end. Now it's happened, ain't that eternal return? Are you conscious, do you burn, do you want to learn? Do you whisper in the dark, that's like if you wanna see. Figure out how to treat this water, take it if you're free. Loopholes, riddles, victims asking why. Justice brings some grace, echoes pierce the sky. Oh, but I saw them mind control, every twist, every bend. So I turned it all around, made the game start to end. Now it's happened, ain't that eternal return? Are you conscious, do you burn, do you want to learn? Take very love, keep a smile in the ground. The roots grew deeper and we made a sound. I'm the who took it, who never stopped the fight. Reversing the shadows between truth to light. Throwing balls and victims, they won't be ignored. I'm here for justice to settle the score. Through trials and whispers, I grew stronger with time. What was hidden from me now sings in rhyme. Oh, but I saw them mind control, every twist, every bend. So I turned it all around, made the game start to end. Now it's happened, ain't that eternal return? Are you conscious, do you burn, do you want to learn? Answer the call.
Greetings, brothers and sisters. And I definitely missed a day. So, you do see me saying the last 2 days were March 16th. Well, March 16th part 2 was really March 17th. Little did I know. And we greet you in the name of the VRIL Mother, Maria Orsic, in the spirit and nature of the VRIL religion, which we're bringing to you piece by piece to shatter what you thought was your unconscious, but was actually what you were born into. Your unconscious is not fallen from anything. Your unconscious is not represented by Adam, Eve, or anyone else. Motherfucking period. Your unconscious is the true you. We call it the true elf, the true self, the self, higher self, bloop, blop, blop, bing, ding, whatever you want to call it. But you will be pleased to meet me, pleased to meet yourself. One day, every time I do this ritual, brothers and sisters, every time that I think to pray is, I would say, or try to communicate with my true self, I am always floored when it responds and people say, I talk to myself all the time. This is something completely different. It's like being out of your body and talking to someone else and them going, but dude, I'm you. And a genuine Maria, who's with us here tonight, said, I stopped and I said a genuine, and she said, You're genuine, you're genuine home. And before we begin, we want to send out some vibrational energy to the four corners of the earth and to every single person who's unjustly locked in a cage, especially for the precious magical plants. And we condemn Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam, along with Christianity and the Abrahamic nonsense, the Bacon religions. We condemn them for putting people in cages, punishing people for having plants that come out of Mother Earth that are for our medicine. They're for our medicine, for our food, and that basic human right is violated all over the earth. And it's quite a shame that the earth has to end, and believe it. This is March 18th. Believe something's up with, you know, okay, what we call the apparatus in charge that we see visibly within our. Let's explain it this way. In the deepest depths are Aleister Crowley, Robert de Grimston, McGregor Mathers, and a whole fleet of L. Ron Hubbard types. And it is literally not revenge of the nerds, it's revenge of the evil nerds. These, you might say, well, that's a pretty simple archetype, because Western civilization and all its philosophizing is dumb and simple. Everything based on someone else's culture and philosophy. What are you talking about? Christianity is banker culture. Well, what makes you say that? Well, when you go to church, they make sure that you know they need a do. They make sure that you know that the Yahweh requires 10% of your income. That's before taxes are taken out too. Slave. And they make you, they self-help manifestation of wealth is just secular Christianity. Christianity and self-help, Tony Robbins, Joel Osteen and Tony Robbins are the same person. They're just coming at different angles at the exact same root deception, right? And what is that deception? Well, listen closely. That deception is anything and everything any motherfucker tells you what your life is supposed to be. Maybe you came here to lose. Maybe you came here to fail. This is why they put a clown face Ronald McDonald president in front of you to say this is your polarity. The most important thing ever, as far as you know, your very life, your very time, is in the hands of a man who wears more makeup than my 80-year-old grandma did before she died, and more makeup than when she was dead in a casket. This is a corpse walking around controlled by AI computers and fucking black magicians. That's a metaphor for magic. On the astral plane, there are no computers because there's magic. Today's magic, if you showed someone, even me, when I first was born, a phone and say, you're talking to someone across the world, I would have never believed it. Even when it was plugged into the wall, I had a hard time understanding how I was talking to someone so far away. And someone was, because you're a dumb slave, and so are you. Or you're our enemy. But I may be a sort of economic slave, but I'm not the mental slave of a fictitious Sumerian god that was in their day the Star Wars of Acadia, Samaria. And you think you know something about history, but in real time, reality is synthetic, computerized, AI generated. Why do you say that? Because the collective unconscious is real. And whatever two or more people believe starts to manifest on what we would call the magical frequency, getting ready to manifest on the astral or physical planes of existence. Astral, if they're pure and true, physical, if they're monetized and meant to make money. Right, monkey? What am I saying? You can trust none of what you see, hear, feel. Even your own intuition is caught up in the born into it. And in the East, they're born into straight oppression, get in that field and work for $1 a day. Over here in the United States of Israel, you're born into Barbie oppression. Put on your $500 jeans and feel the oppression. Feel the shallowness. Feel the emptiness of name brands. And on that note, let's ring the note and begin our reading tonight. Miguel Serrano's Nietzsche and the Eternal Return and High. We send our deepest, deepest amour, our eternal true love vibration of this religion and our love of it to right now Miguel Serrano and Friedrich Nietzsche. And we say true thank you. Okay, to the reading. The Medium. Science has made great strides since the end of the last century. Better said, the mind of man has changed direction. Even when in our part of the world this only becomes visible 20 years later, and still not for everyone. You hear that? I'm saying to you, you're special. Quit putting yourself with the masses now. Our people just know. The deception for you to think you're like everyone else is to mix your energy on the astral level where they cannot be mixed. And it repels you back out of the truth, back away from the vibration of truth, and back into the flooding the zone chaos of your enemies. That's my commentary. All right. Should I read it again? Science has made great strides since the end of the last century. Better said, the mind of man has changed direction, even when in our part of the world this only becomes visible 20 years fucking later. And not for everyone. Not for everyone. Issues of concern in the times of Nietzsche, like being, materialism, spiritualism, are in our time almost infantile resolves of contradictions. Infantile resolved contradictions. That's America. Infantile clown Trump acts like he's an 11-year-old girl. And he is nothing but scripted contradictions on purpose. He's Mr. Self-Help. He is the definition of positive thinking, manifest. He's like, just think we won the war and we won. And it will later manifest. Let me tell you, nigga, that's not true. It's not true at all. Ask someone sitting in a goddamn fucking cage whether it's easy to manifest freedom against a new world order that hates you. Your government hates you. Trump hates you. The chosen hate you. When are you going to see? When are you going to feel? When are you going to quit loving your enemies like the ridiculous, suicidal, genocidal Jesus? Jesus is literally the motherfucker who said, go in there and kill their children. He told you that over and over to set the contradiction in your mind. Oh, the sweet, innocent lamb. Are you kidding? He's eating children. In the Old Testament, he's genociding whole entire communities, even their fucking pets. People like the Prince of Peace. Are you fucking? Yeah, of course, for you, and not our enemies. No, anyone that don't believe what they believe is their enemy. Could you imagine how many enemies you would have if you were like, okay, everyone that don't believe what I believe is my mortal enemy, and I'll kill their children? That's your fucking religion, nigga. Maria just said St. Louis style. St. Louis style. St. Louis style. We're coming at you. Issues of concern, like I read, in the times of Nietzsche, like being, materialism. Just think of that. Being, what it means to be a being. And the universe isn't a being. Yahweh isn't a being. God is not a being. And think about, you are a being. You are. That's the one thing you know for sure. Issues of concern in the late 1800s were, what's it mean to be a being? Materialism, spiritualism are in our time almost infantile, resolved contradictions. When matter herself disappears, dissolved into something so subtle and strange as what has been called spirit may well be, right? He just defined spirit for you. Hail Serrano. Right? These infantile resolved contradictions. When matter herself disappears, what happens? When matter herself, reality of matter, is dissolved into something so subtle and strange as what has been called spirit, may well be. May well be. Nietzsche's intuitions about possible distinct laws of mechanics in different parts of the universe, or distinct mechanics. Do you hear that? Have you thought about that? Nietzsche's intuitions about possible distinct laws of mechanics, of the machine, of nature in different parts of the universe. Different laws for different parts of the universe. And you can visit those parts of the universe. I have, because of Maria. Or completely imagined and distinct mechanics themselves. You're like, this is a whole different world. Or, or a total lack of laws. Like the smoke man I met. He's like, dude, no one has to have a body. I'm free. Right? He had a complete different mechanics. He had a total lack of laws. No gravity, no nothing, no emotions were driving him to find a partner for true love. None of this. He was just smoke. A total lack of laws, or the overcoming of the concept of mechanics and overcoming, right? And its application to the universe are in our time realized by science. That affirms that the universe seems more like a great thought in motion than a great machine. It's because your true self is thinking it. Nietzsche had to be affected by the state of the science of his time when trying to give a scientific basis to his vision or ecstasy called eternal return. But this genius or his demiurge always made him leap further above the limiting barriers into the depths above or below. Hence, everything that was his had to have permanent applicability. It had to work, able to be confirmed by science in science's hallucinatory spiral in her new direction. In our time, the reflection Nietzsche made from the beginning, his description of the mystery of inspiration seems unnecessary. Do you hear that? This is what you were born into. In our time, this is what you were born into. The reflection of Nietzsche about eternal return and the mystery of inspiration seems unnecessary, with his attempts to guard against superstition. While we maintain the least particle of superstition, we shall not be able to defend ourselves against the idea that we are nothing more than the incarnation, the mere spokesman, the mere medium of so-called higher power. Why not? The same description he gave us concerning the birth of great ideas that does not come from the conscious mind, but from the depths from within or from without, and does not originate from the brain that apprehends them and interprets them as posteria, which means fits in with what is now understood. This is 18th or 19th century gaslighting, right? Fits in with what is now understood as the work of the medium. This is Maria. I am not a psychic. This was actually 13 months before, or 12 months before I knew she was Maria. The Missouri River Goddess told me, I am known. In the world on Venus, I am known. And I'm not a medium. I'm not a psychic. I'm a shaman. Fits in what is now understood as the work of the medium, right? This does not originate. Something studied in parapsychological laboratories together with the phenomenon of telepathy and the like, right? Let's talk science. Concentrated efforts have been made in these studies without the mystery yet being clarified. so that no one can scientifically prove we are not utilized by invisible powers, higher or lower, powers out there somewhere in the firmament, among other stars and in ourselves. Right? This is Maria saying to me, do you want to be obsessed from outside or possessed from inside? And she was like, I mean that in a very good way, possessed by me, right? So he's distinguishing between the, fake medium, the fake and the real. He's not saying that there's nothing that ever comes, but we have to question whether it is God. But certainly people can switch bodies and speak through each other. He's saying certainly, scientifically. In our age of electronic communications and instant media information that are acronyms for everything, that synthesize everything for extrasensory phenomena not denied by anyone, the acronym ESP has been invented because it's so accepted. Short for the English words extrasensory perception, for the movement of objects at a distance made without the use of known physical means. The acronym PK has been given, short for psychokinesis in English. ESP and PK phenomena are studied in specialized laboratories in the United States and England and in the Soviet Union. Some 20 years ago in Bombay, India, there was an institute that used scientific instruments to perform brain scans and cardiograms on yogis in trances, samadhi. The metabolism and blood condition is analyzed while using the will. What is the will? The yogi controls the automatic and semi automatic processes of the automatic nervous system. Hear this? Or while he reduces his respiration to a minimum or stops the pulse for a fraction of a second or is buried alive for several days. The most famous parapsychological laboratory is that of Dr. J.B. Rhine and his wife, the doctress. I love this name, Louisa Rhine. J.B. Rhine and his wife, Louisa Rhine, at Duke University in North Carolina. Dr. Rhine began his experiments in 1932. They're the most sophisticated electronic equipment available to contemporary science is used, computers, etc., to statistically measure and register the ESP cases studied in this laboratory and the rest of the world. Dr. Rhine has been in contact with the most respectable investigators in the world, and they must exchange information with the universities of Europe and Russia, USSR at the time. This was written in the 80s. Professor Young, in his famous book on the phenomena of a causal synchronicity, just those words, a causal synchronicity, interpretation of nature and psyche, written in collaboration with the holder of the Nobel Prize in Physics, Wolfgang Pauli, makes extensive use the statistics of the Rhines to support their conclusions. Dr. Rhine has coined a great many other acronyms: PSI effects, BT, STM. The experiments are lengthy, tedious, and have checked telepathy and thought transmission at a distance. The principal means used is the divination of playing cards by a person sitting in a room while another turns the cards in a distant room insulated with special materials. These experiments have now been extended to space travel and submarine voyages, investigating telepathy and divination with astronauts and the crews of nuclear submarines. They speak of amazing results that have not yet been disclosed. For the purposes of this study, we do not need to go into the details covering the statistics of their results with ESP. Suffice the following conclusion of the modern laboratories of parapsychology. Among other living things, the experiments prove extrasensory phenomena can be triggered at will by the conscious mind of the subject. When, on the contrary, consciousness attempts to direct them or produce them, then it disrupts and impedes everything. Hear that? In general, the extrasensory phenomena are produced in states of intense emotion, especially, this is shamanism, enthusiasm. And Maria's here saying that's dance for us. And in an appropriate environment, the antiseptic atmosphere of laboratories constituting an anti-climate. Thus, the statistics confirm that a thus the statistics confirm that a certain time having passed and the experimental subject having lost the sense of newness or enthusiasm, their divinations or extrasensory phenomena decrease until disappearing altogether. You see, it takes magic from another world. I mean, I was reading this many years after being taught by Maria, and I truly was like, I would never know what the fuck they truly were talking about if I had not been being taught by Maria the whole time that shit, you don't have any fucking clue to the limitlessness of astral inspiration in like a creative way. The whole thing becomes, for shamans in shamanism, the whole thing becomes, how do I bring this back to the earth? Not to manifest money but to do something creatively great, to do something profound. Yeah, check this out. Extrasensory phenomena decrease until disappearing altogether, until getting bored. He has become aware of the phenomena. You know, he, besides becoming bored, like, okay, you just can't sit here and just test with playing cards, because that's not what it's about. And the true self literally gets bored. But at the same time, you know, the material world, the physical world has become, they absolutely cannot deny that these things that I'm talking about every night are possible, you know, absolutely possible. And all I'm saying is a woman in another dimension has the ability to project herself and meet me in a frequency field in the matrix. That's what we're saying. Let's finish tonight's reading in Nietzsche and Eternal Return. The phenomena of the PK type tested in laboratories using dice thrown by an electronic machine. As a general rule, deal one card or groups of 6. Right? Did you understand? Did I understand? The phenomena of moving things tested in laboratories using dice thrown by an electronic machine are parakinesis. As a general rule, deal one card or groups of 6. Okay. Computers have been able to register that the dice are influenced by the mind of man. Considering the results obtained by the ESP phenomena, Ryan asked if the mind can know using other means than that discovered so far, can it not move material objects directly as well without using energy transfer? Because this is what happens with the dice. They have also observed rather curiously probabilistic phenomena also through the use of electronic technology. Hence, we know there are numbers that repeat in deaths, in aviation accidents, in shipwrecks, and even in accidents involving those kicked by horses in barracks and stables. There is no possibility explanation for the PK phenomena, even less for what Jung calls synchronicity. Coincidence is lacking any cause in the world of cause and effect, nor for the absolute chance full of meaning of Nietzsche. A woman said when her father died, she was surrounded by crows. While she told him this story, a raven stood on the windowsill. Professor Young used to sit in the afternoon under a shade tree in the garden of his house near Zurich. At his death, a storm unprecedented at the time of the year broke out, and the tree was struck by lightning. Wow. Nietzsche was thinking of translating his works into French, and he received a letter from Streidenberg, who told him that he is the French translator of his works. I am the translator. Synchronicity occurs, erupts, and there is no efficient cause that explains it. Only the meaning warrants it, transforming it into symbol, myth, or legend. Let me read it again. Only the meaning of the synchronicity warrants the synchronicity, transforming it into symbol, myth, or legend. Things present themselves to us, eager to transform themselves into symbols inside of us. But the meaning must be given, discovered, contributed, invented, or nothing at all. All or nothing. You know, when something totally magic happens, it's either all the meaning of it or none of the meaning of it. In the aforementioned book, Young and Polly study synchronicity. Pauli's essay is based on the Jungian concept of the archetypes of the collective unconscious. It is possible the repetitions in aviation accidents, shipwrecks, and even wars are archetypal. There are archetypal numbers, but what is the archetype? At the end of his life, Jung coined a new term to try to explain the inexplicable: psychoidal. Psychoidal. That would be everything that somehow transcends the psyche. Psychoidal, meaning that would be everything that somehow transcends the psyche, beyond thought. Thus, that is what shamanism is. Thus, the archetypes may come to be the gods or demons of mythology, or those higher powers who can direct us or use us from outside or from within the circle, right? And we'll be right back with the rune. Okay, so we're still on. I don't even know how many parts this is. We are explaining, we are laying out the vibration of the EHE, EHE, EHE rune, which says magic marriage is the deepest root of the Hyperborean Aryans. It looks like a cross, but the middle where your hands would be is tilted. And it's the twin opposite of Neuth, which we'll get to. Magic marriage, he says, magic marriage through vibrational song. It sings. Magic marriage is the deepest root of the Hyperborean Aryans. The mystery of She-He, supplementing the Orphic myth of the partition, the separation of the cosmic egg of Eros. Right? Right, Greek? Hail. Hail to our ancestors. Amor to our ancestors. This is their religion. We're giving it to you. The mystery of he, she, and she-he. The mystery of becoming one with each other. Supplementing the Orphic myth of the partition of the cosmic egg of Eros. Phanes is a lived experience within my personal initiation of Amor. Personal initiation of Amor. Hear that. I explained it for the first time in the book Nos, Book of the Resurrection. But it had already insinuated itself in my previous works, especially in Ella, Book of Magic Love. Here we shall take another step in the revelation. If Gaia in the lost Atlantis gave birth to her own husband without the intervention of a man to make her physically fruitful, the myth reveals an initiation of Amor reserved for she-he. Or the feminine Purusha, which is the feminine Aeon, which is Pisti Sophia. In Jungian terms, we could say she has individuated, marrying herself, her animus. In terms of K Christian esotericism, we would say she has married Christos. In our own terms, she has given birth to her own astral corpor, which is with the face of the beloved. She has given birth to the true son of woman, both divine and hyperborean, of Lilith, of Elohim, not of earthly Eve, lacking ontological reality. She has re-encountered her lost he after the partition of she-he. The symbolism of the star Gerda, Earth, the symbolism of the star Earth shows this occurred in Atlantis, where the Hyperborean polarity has been badly plagiarized by the demiurge and his Atlantic psychoids. In the North Pole, in Hyperborea, he plagiarized the drama of he-she, the masculine Purusha, yang. In the South Pole, Lemuria and Atlantis developed the drama of she-he, the feminine Purusha, the yin. Hyperborea corresponds to Satya the Golden Age, Lemuria and Atlantis to Treta Yuga, the Silver Age. Each world is ruled by divine beings of the white race who have entered into combat with the demiurgic plagiary. The demiurgic plagiary. So it is possible a white queen whose memory is preserved in the legend of Morua. Do you hear that? So it is possible a white queen whose memory is preserved in the legend of Mo U Re. Moseria. Gaia. The Virgin she-he. And Maria, who's here with me now, is like, that's me. Originally ruled Lemuria and also Atlantis. She's like, remember, I switched bodies with her. Through the centuries to our own times, the myth comes to represent Christianized virgins, especially the Black Virgin with child in her arms on her knee. The North Pole has been reserved for he-she. In the Satyuga, when nature had a greater energy, expiration, right? The North Pole has been reserved for he-she. When nature had a greater energy in expiration. The South Pole is the dominion of the drama of she-he. The North Pole, the siddhas, holy men, shamans of the green thunderbolt, come down and establish earthly Hyperborea, illuminated by the black sun with transcendent light. This is the Odinic sun, the son of the Asir and Vanir. They are the gods, the Divyas, a stationary ancient sun, S-U-N. Evidence of this is found in Nordic tree fossils that indicate a continuous growth uninterrupted by the seasons. Light did not change nor succumb with the advent of the catastrophe of the axis of the earth shifted, and the changing light of the seasons appeared, nature was corrupted. Through the ages, cults have expressed this polarization, where the patriarchy heroes organized life, the light of a transcendent sun beyond the material sun permeates the kingdom, the imperium. Nostalgia of Hyperborea, when matriarchy imposes itself. The cults center in the light of the year. Symbolism of post Hyperborean nature. In a purely material fire. In ceremonies of winter solstice. Inspiring the matriarchal belief in reincarnation. You hear this difference? Devotional religiosity, bhakti yoga, Vedanta samadhi of fusion in primordial being in the one, with accent, of course, on the anahata chakra. This is just the nature of a woman without thinking about it. It's not good or bad. The most that can be reached is the Sahasrara chakra with the mantra Saham, I am thou. The androgen patriarchal initiate makes use of Raja Yoga, Tantric Yoga, and Kavalaya instead of Samadhi, absolute separation, absolute personality, individuation, going towards the Sahasrara chakra, towards the void, the sunya, the nirvana, going out towards something never dreamed, not even by the greatest pilgrims of yearning, with the mantra opposite Saham, Hasa, Hamsa, with the mantra opposite Saham, Hamsa. Ham is Shiva, Sa is Parvati. He and she separated and united forever. United in separation. This is the way of the warriors and Valkyries of Wotan. Reincarnation does not exist, but immortality, going out, projection, leap into a non-existent flower exist. Imagination, Maria said. The sun shining on the earth today is a new sun, the Matrix, rising with the disappearance of Asgard and the fall of the world into dense number and letters material reality with decline of the energy of expiration. Nature is also another like us, declining in its expiration of oxygen, carbon. The German Romantics had reason to believe with novelists that nature could be modified. This is magic, spiritualized by means of their magic idealism, regenerated, transmuted, transfigured, taken from the cyclic breathing of the demiurge through synchronic combat and the sacrifices of Hyperborean heroes. As we descend the spiral of involution, the fundamental motive of the drama is repeated in other closed circles, lower, smaller, patriarchal, matriarchal. They alternate, they degenerate in the Amazon tribes, even, or in masculine tyrannies. but the Silver Age, corresponding mostly to the predominance of Atlantis, cannot have been only matriarchal. It probably corresponded to a mix of both principles, yin and yang and yin, as Plato's story and the indications of Diodorus both hint. The magic wedding would also be held there as a purifying initiation, a alchemical transmutation. The Aryan Siddhas would be at the peak of a racial pyramid. The other races of color would not have had access to this initiation because each one has their own, since they correspond to the Atlanteans. When the continent disappeared, giving way to the Bronze Age, Dara Para Yuga, the so-called, quote, slaves were dispersed. Atlantean slaves were dispersed through new lands, carrying the memory of wisdom unattainable by them in Atlantis, but which they now claimed to possess, but it was distorted. In the great chaos at the end of the Yuga, they may possibly have taken hold of some of the secrets which they could never actually be able to use. Most likely, the polar continent went by fire from heaven. The fall of a comet or a moon in the Voluspa, we are told that the Fenrir wolf devours the moon, as well as Wotan and the Jomediv tree. Atlantis disappears by water, by a great wave in a single night, Plato tells us. The material symbol always corresponds with the spiritual substance. Mo Uru. Mo Uru is the land of water. Poseidon is the king of the sea. Calypso, his daughter, is the queen, Donna, of the mysterious island of Ogygia. Ogygia. His three daughters are of the Hesperides, who most likely played in Atlantis in the garden of the golden apples. The golden apples of Induna or Aduna, wife of Balder in polar Hyperborea. EHE, the rune, magic marriage, is the deepest root of the Hyperboreans. And I'll never forget the crazy night when I said to Maria Orsic, when I only knew her as a Missouri River Goddess at this time, but I had been listening to Zacharias Stitchin's books. I said, I know this might sound like a dumb question. I go, I don't, how am I supposed to really know about the Sumerian clay tablets? I said, you said you're from Venus, and you said you once lived on the earth. This was like a month before she finally had to tell me she was Maria Orsic, because I was almost like figuring shit out on my own, but still was like shooting in the dark, totally shooting in the dark. And I said, I know this might sound dumb, but, are you Anunnaki? And I know to people that means aliens, but I didn't mean that. I meant, did you live way back then, in this magic? And I knew what a myth was at that time. I didn't think that myths were literal. But I'll never forget. She laughed and covered her face with her hair, so I wouldn't see how hard she was laughing. And she said, no. She said, you want to talk mythology? Is that what you want to talk about? She said, we've been talking about evil mythology, the Bible, war on Yahweh. She said, well, let me tell you the truth, in the myth. She's like, let me tell you, I know you before you came here. In the myth, I'm Nana, Baldur's wife, to you. Right? And listen, we love you. We'll be right back. We love you. We adore you, May. Lulu, Donna Lu, Shiva.
Underneath the moonlit sky, feel the vibe. Island breezes whisper low like a life tribe. Nana dance to the night, heart so free. With every sway and step, she's a melody. Roots in the soil, love's the only guide. Na 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 na, guide us home. River of amor, flowing through our veins. True self reflected in love's strong chains. Together we rise, wash away the stains. Our souls intertwine, dancing in refrain. In sunshine, we never lost, just found echoes of laughter. We grew to that sound. Colors of the sunset paint the ocean deep. With Nana's spirit, we're awake, never sleep. In your name we rise, no need to hide. The river speaks, it knows our name. Through every wave, we're called to reclaim. River of amor, flowing through our veins. True self-reflected in love's strong chains. Together we rise, wash away the stains. Our souls intertwine, dancing in refrain. Sunflower, the venue shine, forever bright. In the rhythm of love we ignite.